Hi and welcome to this video where we're going to be discussing Django and React. Now we have a project which is the Django React boilerplate. It's available on GitHub. The link is in the description of this video and you can go and check it out, as that's what we're going to be using in this video, talking about how to integrate Django and React and a little bit about this project that we have as a way of helping people integrate those two technologies. So all you need to do is just clone or download this. Once you've got it, we can get started. Okay, so I'm here in VS Code. I have the Django React boilerplate project open, and I'm just going to walk you through the folder structure, so everything inside here. Starting with .vs Code, we have the settings for the project. This is just mainly suited towards the Django settings or Django and Python settings, and it's just a combination of things that I've found over time that have helped in developing specifically with Django. There isn't anything here that's really specified for React, so again, this is just for Python. Then we have home. This is the directory that contains the settings and the WSGIs, which are set up for whether you're running this locally or if you're running this in production. And we'll dive into those specifics later on. Then we have the public folder, which is for the React project. So the index.html and basically all of the files that we get when we run that create React app script. And then we get the source folder, also given to us by the create React app. And inside here, we have the actual project, which is structured as a normal create React app. So index.js is where our React DOM render is being called. And we'll also dive into the structure of how our React project is set up. Then .getignore, and we have manage.py, pretty standard, and package.json, which is the file that contains all the dependencies for the React project, which we're going to update in this video. Then we have the requirements.txt, which are the dependencies for the Django project. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to update the dependencies mainly, and we're going to talk about the project itself and some of the things about integrating Django and React, and possibly open up a discussion in the comments where people can talk about their experiences in integrating the two and what they found for them have been the best approaches in doing so. So please do leave a comment down below if you feel that you don't agree with the workflow of this project and you think that there's a better approach. I'm sure there's plenty of people, including myself, that are very open to seeing new approaches as to how to integrate this. And otherwise, let's actually get started with this. So I'm going to keep the requirements open and package.json, as we're going to need to update both of these. And we're also going to move away from ant-d and move on to Semantic Ui React. And I'll actually open this up here. You can just do a Google search for Semantic Ui React. And it's the first link. And I'll just zoom in a little bit. So this is the UI library that we're going to be using as the boilerplate library. This is just because I've become more fond of this in recent times, as I think it's quite good. They have quite a lot of components that you can make use of, and there's nothing wrong with ant-d. I just tend to use this more frequently than I do use ant-d at the moment. So it's purely subjective as to why I'm using Semantic Ui React, but there are plenty of other libraries, Material UI, ant-d, a whole bunch of other ones that you can use. So it's not limited to this library. This is just my own choice. So first we can go and install that. I'm going to go and run npm i-save, and we can actually go and get the installation here. So get started, and it's just Semantic Ui React. Cool. Then I'm going to go and remove ant-d from there as well. Cool. Now we're going to go and upgrade all of these dependencies here. So what I'm going to do is run npm install --save react at latest, and then we'll do the exact same thing for react DOM at latest, react scripts at latest, and so on. Okay, there we go. Now we have all of the updated packages here inside the dependencies. I'm going to go and change that to 0.3.0 now. And cool. So we have the node modules, and we can then go and run npm run start. And let's see, we're unable to detect target browsers. I'm going to say yes. And that should add here a browser list. There it is. and we can just go and open this up here. Okay, so we've got here can't resolve and D, and that's perfectly fine because we don't have and D installed anymore, but all of these components still make use of it. So we're going to need to go and change all of them. So let's go and close package JSON there, and we can open up layout, and let's see here. Basically, we're looking for anything that has and D here, so we can go and get rid of that. And this is the layout, so basically just a nav bar and some buttons to log in and log out. So I'm basically just going to go and remove all of this here, and we'll go and add in all that we had before, just the login and log out buttons. And we can also remove this here, and let's see, we can then go and import our first components from Semantic Ui React. So let's just go here and let's see, there should be some layout examples. Cool, and we can just scroll down, and we're just going to make use of something like this fixed menu here, so something there, and we can just click on source, so it takes us there. Cool, I'm going to go and copy all of this, and we can then go back to the code here, and I'm just going to paste this down below. Cool, so everything inside this div, we can just copy all of that, or rather cut it out and paste it inside the return statement there. Then we can get rid of that export default, get rid of this here, and just bring our imports here to the top. And there we go. So let's see if we come back here. So on the main domain, let's go to roots and see here. We don't have any root specified for just the home URL basically, or just the slash URL. So if we go to /login, we're going to get this issue again. Let's just go and sort this out, get rid of &d, and get rid of &d form item. And this logic we're going to basically change because it's based off of the &d forms. So we'll get rid of that and we'll actually have to change it. So everything inside this .props.validate fields, we can get rid of that. And the error message is fine. Get field decorator we can get rid of. And then let's see here, all of these form items we can get rid of. Just have to remember that it's username and password basically, and get rid of that. And actually we have another thing we can make use of here in the layout. Let's just go back here, and we can go here to login form, go to source. Cool, then we can just copy all of that, come back here, and let's see. So I'm going to get rid of this class name. We don't need that anymore. And then the spin, I'm just going to say paragraph here, spin, and we'll sort that out. And let's see here, we can paste paste here at the bottom, get rid of the export, and then this grid, we'll just paste here, and then we can come back here, bring the import to the top, get rid of that, and replace this there. Okay, so now we'll have to handle the submit ourselves. And let's just come here, we can get rid of that div, we can just cut that out for now, and then come here above the form. So error message is over here. So what I'm going to do is say constant error, and then we'll say this equals to this dot props, and then we will just cut that out, get rid of all of that, and then we can say if there is an error, we'll return a paragraph tag with all of that inside there, and then we'll just take loading and bring it there as well. Then we can replace it here. So if loading, show the spin, otherwise show this form. So I can cut out the on submit, and we'll place that there. And then we'll just bring the end of this condition to the end of the form, and actually put the message in there as well. And that means we're going to have to wrap this in a React fragment because we can only output one component. And there we go. Cool. So if we come back here, let's see here, source containers and D and sign up. And okay, that's even still on localhost there. So we're basically going to need to do the exact same thing here. And we might as well just delete everything everything in this component. So let's just come here to the top and we can get rid of handle confirm blur, and then we can get rid of the confirm dirty there as well. Get rid of this, get rid of the ant-d, and then we'll come here, import these same components, and then we're going to need this exact same form basically. So what I might as well do is just copy the entire grid, come here into sign up, and then we'll just paste that there. And then let's see here. So we've got username. We'll actually just get rid of all of these fields and do it again. So get rid of that and all of this and all of that as well. Get rid of that form there. And let's see here, and get rid of that form there as well. Okay, then we'll change this to sign up, and we're going to need that as well, those same props. Get rid of get field decorator there, and let's just see here, we are returning this from our Redux store, so that seems to be fine. And let's see if we now take a look, wrapped registration form in line 116, and that's over here, so that we can replace with registration form. And if we look here at login form, this is normal. We can just change this to login form. Come here to the bottom and replace that there. Okay. So let's see now, normal login form line 69. We can get rid of that there. Come back, and now we're getting ant-d CSS, which is here in the app.js file. And so we can get rid of that. Custom layout can stay there. All of that seems fine. And cool. Now we're going to need to import the Semantic Ui Css as well. So let's just go here to get started. And then you can see here, default theme npm. We're going to need to install Semantic Ui Css. So let's just come back here. Stop that. npm i -- save Semantic Ui Css. Cool, then we can just come back here and we will copy this and make sure we import that here in app.js, and then we can go and run this to start again. Cool, now we have something showing, and let's see what happens if we go to /login. Then we're getting the exact same component. So let's just see here inside our roots. What I'm actually going to do is just come here to containers, and we'll just create one called home.js. Then what I'm going to do is come here to our theming again, or layout examples rather. And let's just see here, this home page. I'll click on source, and we'll copy all of this, and we'll have to install prop types as well, but that's fine. It is better practice to use that. So we'll just paste it in here. And this prop types we're then going to install. So we can just save this. Bring this here and say npm I save. Cool. We can go and run start again. And then let's just come back here. And what I'll do is just copy the component here, home page layout. And we can go here to root. And I'm going to say import homepage component from containers home. Then we will put another root here, which just goes to an empty path. And I'm going to get rid of these exacts there as well. And then we can make sure we use the homepage component. And let's see here. Just going to get rid of that slash there. Okay. So if we go to just a normal localhost, we're still getting that layout coming through. And I'm going to go and close that. We'll also close sign up, close app. Let's just go here to layout, and we're going to come down in here and render out the children that we wrap layout around. So that's going to be here above this segment here because this is kind of like a footer. And if we take a look here, it's basically going to be this stuff here. So Semantic Ui React fixed theme. So that's all of this here. I'm going to remove everything from the container, get that out, and then we'll say this .props.children. Come back here. And okay. So there is a little bit of duplication. So we'll just have to remove some of that. So we can just come up here. And let's see, we're going to need to get rid of the repeated content inside the rest of these. So I'll close roots and let's just bring up home again here. And most of this, like the homepage heading, we're basically going to need to get rid of that. And I'm going to get rid of all of these comments as well. And then we're going to need to come down and find where that header comes in. So homepage heading over there and mobile container. Let's see where it comes in over here. So homepage heading, let's save that and come back. Cool. Now let's just see, search here for home. And let's just see that's up top here. This entire menu there, I'm actually going to need to get rid of. And we can actually get rid of the entire segment. So let's just get rid of that. And then this children, you can see children is being rendered out in there as well. So we'll keep it like that. And let's see, that's the desktop container. Then here for the mobile container, you've got a sidebar here. And I'm actually just going to go and get rid of the entire sidebar. And we'll just output children in there like that. Okay, so now if we take a look at this, there's our nav bar. And we've got that footer there as well. So let's see here. This is coming up here, breaking that. And then, okay, there's this segment. So we can just close that, get rid of that there, come back. Cool. So there's all of that content there. Now we can go into the layout and let's bring it up here. We're going to need to start specifying links to get us around. So if we click on this, it takes us somewhere. If we click on this, it takes us somewhere. So I'm going to get rid of the drop down, and then I'll also get rid of the menu item there, and this we'll just call home. And then the source, I'm actually going to get rid of the entire image. Then as a, we can most likely remove that because we have link from React Root to DOM. So I'm going to link around this menu item. And then we can specify to equals slash, just like that. So if we take a look and click, well, that's not going to move us anywhere yet. Let's just go and we'll add a couple more links here. So just like that. And we'll just have your login and sign up. And then we'll just specify the roots here. So login and sign up. Come take a look here. If I click on login, then it takes us here. Click on sign up, then it takes us here. Cool. So that navigation is working. And we can go back here in login and let's see where that image is coming in. So I'm going to get rid of the image because we don't have one. So get rid of it there. And then for sign up, we'll get rid of it here as well. And okay, cool. Then if you click sign up, it should move you to the sign up page. So let's come here and actually check, do we have link? We have nav link, so that should be fine. And we'll wrap that around this a tag there. Let's see if it gives us a complaint. So this will be sign up. And let's see if we inspect here. Come back and okay, so we're not getting any issues there. Let's just see the href. I'm actually just going to get rid of the anchor tag. Most likely be easier that way. And if we click sign up and up, this is because it's on the sign up page. So what I'm going to do is change that to be login. Okay, and then we'll see here already have an account. Then here in login, Then we can come all the way down here, and let's get rid of the anchor tag there. We'll change this to navlink and wrap this around the A tag. Then we can specify 2 is sign up. And if you click sign up, it takes you there. Click on login. Cool. So that navigation is working, and we'll fix the form as well. So for now, that's looking not too bad. Then we can close layout. And here in login, we're now going to need to handle this form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to store the values in the state. So we can just say state equals to, and this will just be email, which will just be empty, and then password, which will be empty. And then here we can say constant email and password equal to this.state. And we will assign those as values here in these form fields. So inside the form, you've got a form input, and I'll say that the value is equal to email for the first one. And we'll say name is email. Then this one, name is password. And then we'll say value is password as well. Cool. Then we'll need to specify the onChange. So we'll say onChange equals to this dot handle change. And I'm going to copy and paste that for both of these. And then we'll specify this method here above the handle submit. So I'll just say handle change takes in an event. And then we'll just say this dot set state. And we'll say event.target.name is now event.target.value. So if we take a look and we type in something, cool, so that works, and then that works as well. Now we need to make sure that this is linked up to our Redux store. So when we handle submit, we need to call the action, and I'm going to change this from that star import to import auth login by itself. So we'll just come here and we'll say import auth login, and then here we can say auth login, and we see it takes in username and password, which we can get from the state. And if that is meant to be username and password, then we'll just change this to be username. So just come back here, cool, username, and then these two values, paste it in there. And we can double check that here in the store. So if we go to actions auth, then auth login takes in a username and password. Using Axios, it will make a request to the Django REST framework. And now because we have loading, we actually have a couple ways we can do this. We could actually specify a loader in the button instead of a spin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that conditional logic there and get rid of it there. And then here we can say loading equals loading and disabled equals loading. Then if we come back here and if I enter something here and here and I click submit, let's see, nothing's happening there. So if we come back here on submit is this dot handle submit, which is here. So let's just make sure that it does come through. And if we click there, it does. Okay, cool. So we'll see that loader in action in a second. And let's just come down here and we'll just make sure we have a space there as well. Okay, cool. Now let's go to the signup page and we'll have the exact same logic as what we have here. So just copy the state, come in here and get rid of that. So we have username, we have email, we have password, and we have password 2. Let's just check here in auth how we've specified it. So password 1 and password 2. So just like this. Then I'm also going to get rid of the action import like that and just come here to the bottom and see what we're using. So we're using auth signup. So I'm going to import auth signup like that. And so this.props.onAuth is what we have here. I'm going to change that to be, let's call it signup. And then we can come over here and we'll say this.props.signup, and it takes all of these values, but instead I'm going to get rid of this.props there, get rid of that if statement and all of that. Okay, so inside here we'll first have to grab all those values, so let's also get rid of these values there, so just like this, and username will change to username like that, and we'll have password1, password2. Cool, then we can grab them from the state, so we can say constant that equals this dot state, and then just separate them. Cool, and I'm going to get rid of this dot props dot push there. So compared to first password, this is something that's going to check that those two passwords are equal, and we could rely on the backend to do this for us. So I'm not going to go and implement any kind of front-end validation at the moment. We're just going to get rid of that, and we'll just deal with the error that we get back from the API. So let's also store here. So we'll just come here, make sure we're outputting the error just like that, and we'll get rid of that loading logic as well. So get rid of that, and then specify the exact same thing on the button. So let's just copy those two there and paste them in there. Cool. Then this will change to sign up. And then we're just going to need some of these form inputs. So what I'm going to do is just copy that form input there and paste that there. And again, so placeholder is password. This one will be confirm password. Type will be password. This one's name is password2, password1. This one is password2, that's password1. And then we'll grab all of those values here in the render method as well. Then we can go and grab this input there, and I'll paste it over like that. So this first one is username. Placeholder is username. Then we have email address, and the name is email, and the value is email. The icon we can make email, and I'll just change this as well, username over here. Okay, so if we take a look at this now, let's see, we don't have an email icon, but there should be a mail icon. Cool, there it is. So now those forms are now working. We have the home page, the layout seems to be working with our new Semantic UI shell. So this seems to be a pretty good position to now move to the back end. So let's just go and close off all of these, and then we can go and stop that server and just check here. We have requirements.txt. So we're first going to go and upgrade Django. So let's say pip install Django -- upgrade, and let's see a pip command not found. So first I'm going to go and create a virtual environment. Then we can go and activate it, and then we can go pip install -- upgrade Django. Cool, now we have the latest version of Django 2.2.3. So first we can go and say manage.py migrate, and let's see a no module named allauth. So pip install -r, and actually most likely we're going to want to upgrade these dependencies as well, just in case. So let's see here what these main ones are: Django allauth, course headers, REST auth, REST framework, GUnicorn, and let's see, requests, and okay, cool. So install all of those -- upgrade. Cool, let's run pip freeze into requirements.txt, and now we have the latest versions of pretty much everything installed. Cool, so that is that taken care of. Now we can go and say python manage.py run server, and let's see, it says it's missing a schema in our course origin whitelist. So let's go to home, settings, base, and actually probably it's in dev, and it's there. I'm going to paste that, and we'll make it HTTP, and I'm going to install that, install, and and then we can run pip freeze as well. So pip freeze into requirements. Okay. And I can actually just close that one there. Now we can go and say manage.py migrate. Okay. And then run server. And so that seems to be working pretty fine. Let's open up another one here and we'll just say npm run start. Okay. So let's go and try and sign up, and I'll just create a user here. And okay, hold on, we're not getting anything back there. Let's go back here to source, go to sign up, and let's just see here, we didn't add the handle change. So just bring that here. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. So username, we'll just create a username, sign up, and we saw that loader there for a second. So let's just come back here and we'll go to the render method, and let's just see if we're passing in the token, which we're not. So let's see, a token is state.auth.token, and then we'll bring this token here inside the render method, and we'll say, well, actually we can grab it here inside the props, and basically we're going to check if the token is null, and if it is, then we'll render this page. If it's not null, then that means we have a token, which means we're authenticated, so redirect us to the home page. So we'll just say if token, then we'll return a redirect, and let's just see here if this is not imported. So from React rooted DOM, we're going to import redirect, and then return that there, and we'll say that it's going to go to /, and now you can see it redirected us there. If I click on login, then we'll want it to do the same thing. So let's go here to login, and we'll paste that there. Make sure we bring in the token, and we'll go down and copy it from here, and then bring it in our map state to props. So like that. So if we come back, redirect is not imported. Okay. So we'll just import it here. Take a look, there it is. And now let's go to layout and make sure that we're importing it in our map state to props here as well. I'm actually just going to copy this one there and paste that there. So loading and error we can get rid of, and then bring map state to props in the connect method. Then we can access the token here as well. So we'll say constant token equals this.props. Actually, we could just say this is authenticated and say state.token is not equal to null. Then if we come here, we can access authenticated, and then we'll just output some logic here. So if we're authenticated, then we're going to show a link which is going to say log out. Otherwise, we will show all of that, and we're going to need to wrap this in a React fragment. So just cut that there. Okay. So now if we come back, now we only have log out, and we're going to need log out from actions. So let's replace that with log out, and we can come all the way down here, dispatch log out. Cool. So if we come here, and if we click on log out, it should log us out. So we can just get rid of that there, and we'll say on click equals to this.props.logout. And let's just make this an anonymous function. Okay. All right. So we were logged out automatically because I didn't specify this as an anonymous function. I was calling it in the render. So now if we go to login and we log in with that user, and let's see, this isn't working. And if we come here, that's because auth login is down here. I'm going to change this to be called login, and then we'll come over here and say this.props.login. Okay. Now if we try this again, log in, and there we go. So that is all working now. We've upgraded the dependencies for the backend and the front end. And let's see, logout is also working there. Cool. So that's all of that working in terms of how the boilerplate works. Now we're just going to look a little bit at the settings and just talk a little bit about the integration between Django and React. So if we go into base, this is the basic generic settings for the Django project. So you've got the installed apps, and everything in here is basically to do with authentication. So the all-auth package, which handles basic authentication, also for social accounts. Then course headers is basically to allow us to send requests from other domains or other hosts. And this is quite helpful with allowing our local host to send requests, because if we didn't specify course headers, then we wouldn't be able to send requests from the local host, being on port 3000, that is, so from the React app. Then we have REST framework, which is quite helpful in logging in and registering users via a token authentication. Then we have the generic REST framework, which is allowing us to actually build an API, and then REST framework auth token, which is the special model part of the REST framework that actually creates tokens for our users. So that's quite important. And then the rest of this is basic Django settings that we've seen before. Then a little bit more to do with the React side of things is the static files setup. The way we have this is that the static files directories, which is a list of paths for folders in the project that accept static files. In here, we only have one entry, and this is the build static, which if we take a look here, we don't have a build folder, but if I just stop that and say npm run build, then we'll get a build folder created here. And this is the React project being built, which will actually be the production client-side app. And we're specifying the build and then static as another folder inside build, which is here. And there you can see we have CSS, we have JavaScript, we have media. These are all the static files that we're using in the project. So we specified as an accepted path inside the Django application, and you'll see the reason why. Then static root and media root, which is standard. Then we have the REST framework, which is with basic permissions. We're just saying allow any, and that's just because you can then go and specify the permissions on a per view basis, which I think is just easier, because then you can at least manage it per view and you can get as customized as you want. And then on the authentication side, we're only using token authentication. This is a point of interest. If anyone does have more knowledge on this side of things, should we include base authentication in here or not? That's a question I'm going to leave up to you. Leave your comments down below. And then basic Django, or rather Django all-auth settings that are defined here to use a username instead of an email as the authentication username. And so then just coming back here to the static files directories, if we take a look here at home and URLs, here you'll see we have a regular expression path, which is a template view, and saying for any URL path that we go to, basically map it to index.html to render it. And this then basically allows the React project to take over in terms of rendering. So now that we actually have the build folder there, I can stop this and we can say manage.py collect static, so that it actually collects the files, mainly the static folder here inside the build directory. So now we have static there, and I'm actually going to specify that we get rid of that over there. Okay, so now we have that. Then I can go and say manage.py run server, and now instead of going on the local host of the React server or React dev server, if we just go to 127, the Django server, now you can see that the React project is being rendered out on our base URL. And if we go to /login, then it actually moves us there. Let me just come in a little bit here. So the React project is taking over from the moment it goes to our 127 port 8000 /. So from that base URL, any path is then being handled by the React router DOM package, basically. The reason for this is just because it became convenient to consolidate the React project and Django project together via this regular expression path, so that when you are building the project and you're deploying, then it's basically all the Django server that's taking care of everything. The React project is built. In terms of the development files, that's now completely out of the equation. You've done what you needed to do on that side. Django's taking care of the rest of it, and very simply just by allowing index.html to be rendered. And as a setup, this has worked very well for me in my endeavors. The main question comes in as to development workflow. How good is this as a workflow? Because when you're in development, one of the caveats of this is that if you want to test it on the Django local host, then you're going to need to build the React project, and then you're going to need to call collect static to compile everything into the Django static files so that you can then run it on the Django server. Whereas if you were just working with, for example, Bootstrap and normal HTML and CSS, then you would never need to run build commands all the time. You would just be refreshing and going back to the browser and checking the updated version. Whereas like this with React, you've got a couple of commands you have to run every single time you want to make one change, which as a development workflow can be pretty tiresome, as you're constantly waiting for commands to finish, which is why you would never work like that anyway. So instead, you just work with the React server open on localhost 3000, and you will continuously work like this until you're at a point where you want to test it on your Django server over here, and then you will run your build and you'll come and test here. But you won't work continuously building and then coming back to the Django server and testing this. So basically what this looks like when you're working is what it looked like now when we were changing the UI. The Django server isn't even open. You only have the React localhost open, and you're constantly working here. And the moment you think you're done or have reached a point where you want to check everything is working or deploy, then you will go and test this on the Django side of things. Now, all of that is fine and well. Parts where it can get tricky is when your URL path is dependent on the environment that you're in. So for example, if I'm on localhost 3000, then I'm most likely going to be querying the Django REST Framework API that is on localhost as well, which is what we are doing. Because if I go to login and we go to network and I just hit login, then you can see that it is, if I just go to headers here, it is querying our localhost over here. So that is what it's querying. But the moment that you go live and you're running on the Django server, it shouldn't be querying this URL if you're live, because it won't have any response from a local host that it's querying. So you need to update this URL to be the production URL of the project when you go live. So most likely what you'll end up doing is having a constants file here inside your source, and inside that file you would specify whether the environment is in a debug mode or not. If it's in a debug mode, just like in our Django settings, then it will display certain errors, or it will query the test URL, and once debug has been turned off or production has been turned on, then it will be using the production URL. So these are just some of the thoughts to take into consideration when working with Django and React. Personally, again, this setup has worked pretty well for me in my projects, although I am interested to hear in any other kind of setups that you guys have worked with. So if you know of any different way of working with it, then leave a comment down below. Again, let everyone know how you are integrating the two. And otherwise, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.